Before the boardrooms and before the brands, before the businesses and before the breakthroughs, there was a dream, a whisper from God, a vision placed inside of you. And through the struggle and through the sacrifices and through the faith and the fire, you refused to stay small. This, this is for the ones who rose anyway, for the ones who turned closed doors into open highways, for the ones who never were given a seat at the table, so they built their own. This is for the entrepreneurs who see beyond the now, for the creatives who transform the unseen into reality, for the leaders and the innovators, the risk takers that won't wait for permission to go higher. Here, we celebrate aspiration. Here, we honor the grind. Here, we elevate the vision. Because the road to success was never meant to be easy, but neither were we. We are the sons and daughters of resilience, the descendants of royalty, the builders of legacy, the ones that will outlive our name. This is not just a podcast. This is Level Up. I'm your host, Earl McCray, and in every episode, we bring you real game from real voices, from those who have paved the way to those who are building the way, and to those who will take it further than even imagined. Because it is not about just getting to the top. It's about bringing others with you. It's about breaking chains. It's about shattering limits. It's about walking in divine purpose and power. So, if you're ready to step into something greater, if you're ready to go beyond potential and into impact, if you're ready to stop waiting and start moving, then welcome home. This is where faith meets action. This is where dreams meet discipline. This is where we level up.
All right, Level Up family. All right, I am ready to introduce to you guys our guest for the day. I'm gonna stop screen sharing so I can look right in your face as we get ready to rock this this podcast. Listen, family, people of purpose. We are here today not just to talk about self-care. We're going to talk about soul care. We're not just talking about relaxation. We're going to talk about restoration. Level Up family, you are about to meet a man who is not only called, but he is also equipped. A man who has turned his hands into instruments of healing and his vision into a thriving Black-owned family business. In my opinion, a legacy. We're going to work on that. We're going to work on that. All right. He's the owner and licensed massage therapist of Relax and Restore, where healing is not an event, but it's a lifestyle. A man whose skill in massage therapy isn't just about the body, but is also about the spirit, about rejuvenation, about restoration, and what life tried to drain out of you. But listen, this is not just about the business. This is a ministry of movement where every client is cared for like a family member. Every service is tailored like royalty, and every touch is guided with purpose. From Finger Lakes Community College to mastering, I want to say, see it on you at Continental School of Beauty.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. He has dedicated his life to healing arts, combining massage therapy, nail care, waxing, and wellness wisdom. And so my levels on my computer, combined massage therapy, nail care, waxing, and wellness wisdom to service in the community with excellence. Okay, he's a husband, y'all. A father of six children, yes?
Oh, three.
Three. Okay, my bad. Okay.
It's all right.
All right. And a founder of a family business that's making waves in Rochester. He offers packages that blesses your body and your budget, giving you massages at a price that feels like a miracle. His hands are anointed to work out the stress, the tension, and the burdens of life. Because when you leave Relax and Restore, you're not just walking out refreshed, you're walking out renewed, y'all. So if you've been feeling worn down, stretched, thin, if you've been carrying that weight of the world on your shoulders, folks, this is Get ready to hear the story of a man who was building a legacy of healing and hope. Get ready to be by his entrepreneur journey, excellence, and empowerment. All right, level of family, let's celebrate and let's make some noise for the healer, the entrepreneur, and the family man, Mr. Aaron Samuel. All right, brother. How
Thank
you
you.
doing,
Thank you.
man?
I'm doing good. I like that intro, man.
Oh man, listen. I was it took a while for us to get back here because it's
Yeah,
been some time. It's been some time, but
it's been
I
some time.
I knew that once we could get all of the stars to align, then this would be well worth the wait.
Yeah, I'm glad I could be back on here, back talking to you again, man. It's been a while.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So listen, so the audience I'm rocking with now wasn't really rocking with me when we first started this.
Right.
Now it's evolved where not only do we have folks like myself, we did the corporate job, got the college degree. We've been on a hamster wheel for a while,
Yeah.
but we realized we can't give our job title or any of these other intangibles, to our kids.
Right.
Who cares that I'm an RTA union rep? Don't matter. I can't give that to my kids. So we realized we had to get off the hamster wheel and we had to do our thing. We had
Right.
to find a niche, a business that we could, with the grace of God, bless our kids and maybe our grandkids with. And so that's who we were rolling with. And now we have a whole new subgroup of people. These are that 18 to 28-year-old. They haven't gone through any of the pain. They haven't gone through any of the hardship, but they're curious, they're looking, and they're eager. And we want to bless them with some experience. You've had a journey, and you can share a lot of wisdom of what you insights from the journey. So without further ado, man, get us started, man. And maybe tell us your origin story.
All right. So have you heard? I'm a massage therapist. So I started this journey in like 2016, I believe, when I first went to school. Did 2 years of schooling. Before that, I was giving my wife massages. So that's how I learned that I was actually good at giving massages, and she's still getting them out of me now, not as often because we're
Amen.
so busy.
That's
But
proof of concept right there, brother.
right. Yeah. So I was, needing something to, do outside of my job, as you just said, like, just being on that hamster wheel of going to school and getting a degree to go work at somebody else's business that really was never I never felt that was my calling. So like since I was in like middle school and high school, I was like I had some type of side business. I was either selling CDs, selling some type of music, DVDs, food, and it just, I just realized within the last couple of years that progressed into me wanting to find something that I could do to help people and improve everybody's quality of life. And this is like one of the best ways I've found that I've been able to do that.
Amen. Amen. One of the things that you highlighted is, you didn't have the vision maybe immediately. When did the vision hit you? What was there a pivotal moment, or was there like just a culmination of God-given experiences that it kind of led you down this path?
So I don't know when it really started, but like I said, I realized like maybe like a year or so ago that I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. So I've always tried to find some way to make money. It wasn't always successful, even in my current ventures. It's like, you got your ups and you got your downs, but you just go based on where God is leading me and what he shows me as I'm going through. So I started out being a private contractor, renting space at another place. And then I ended up having our own brick and mortar location. And then now we're also again in another transitionary period where I'm looking at how I can work out of the space that I have built in my home. So it's a progressing thing. So it's not just like I got the vision when I first started out. I just knew I had to get the knowledge and I had to get the skill. And then once I got that, I was like, okay, I found out about different avenues I could take in massage. And I was like, do I want to work in a spa? Do I want to work for myself? I did both of those. and figured out, okay, I don't really like the spa atmosphere for myself. I would like to own a spa fully again, like I, had before, but doing it myself and with me and my wife and our schedules, it just wasn't in the cards at the time.
Mhm.
So then the vision changed again. And then now I'm looking at more so going back to one of my original visions, which is helping people that have like chronic pain or like injury from any type of accidents or sports therapy.
Amen. Yeah, that is absolutely a great market to tap in, because once you start down that road of chronic pain, there's no magic wand. You gotta
Yeah, there isn't.
really be proactive with it. So share this with my audience, if you will. I mean, um, every entrepreneur has a grind season. Lord bless us. What was yours, and what for you did it take for you to mentally, physically, and spiritually break through?
So I'm still in my grind season. The downside to massage is it takes a while to gain a steady client base. So, you'll have your steady clients coming in for a while and then people move away. People either get better or they end up, running out of funds to be able to continue to do that as well as their regular care with their doctor and their medicines and stuff. So it's really just trying to make sure I'm able to help them when I can and uh, make sure that I'm staying in good condition myself to help them when I can help them and making sure I'm just available for my clients whenever they need me to come in.
Got you, got you. Do me a favor, if you could, speak to my audience members that may be in their grind season right now.
Hmm.
What would you encourage them to do to keep them focused, so they can push through, and they don't just see the glass as, sometimes the world will give us the white noise,
Yeah.
and we forget the inner voice.
Yeah. So sometimes what I do is I'll step away for a little while. So there's never anything wrong with stepping away. Like I'm just really getting back into massage recently. I had to deal with some shoulder problems I was having between my 9 to 5 and then with also massage, compounding those two together. So you just kind of really gotta understand that it's always going to be a grind. So like even so I do have multiple businesses. So the other business in finance. So those the higher ups in that business, they let us know all the time that, they have success. And then even when you get to a certain point of continuing to have success, you'll get stagnant at a certain point. And then at that, you got to find out what's your why and why you are being driven to do this. Like what's the underlying reason why you got into doing this business. Like the money's not always going to be there, the clients aren't always going to be there, the support isn't always going to be there, but you got to look at what your end goal is. Like it might not be today that you have that success that you're looking for. It might be in the next 5 years. It might be 10 years down the line. But just continue to keep pushing, keep learning, and you'll end up eventually getting to where you want to get to. And if you don't end up getting there, that's okay. You might end up getting there in another way. That information you gain, that knowledge you gain from doing those the intangibles of trying to set appointments with people, trying to meet with more people, trying to help people that you can and whatever way you can, you just got to keep going with it. It's because it never stops. It never stops.
Love it. I love it. So while we're flying over this conversation of insight and suggestions, throw out maybe a podcast or a book that you gleaned from that helped you as you navigate your path of grinding, and not losing sight of your why.
So I do a lot of audio books. So pull up my Audible so I can see what books I've
I
read. I got
love it.
so
I'm an audible listener myself.
yeah, because I can't. I cannot sit down and read books for too long. It's like it's not bad. I could do it,
Yeah.
but if it's not something that I'm really like fully interested in, it's hard for me to be like, all right, let me go
Do
and
you
go
do you ever throw, bro, the earbud in and go to bed with your audible books?
No, what I do is I'll be at work or I'll be like I do a lot of home projects too. So while I'm doing home projects and doing like yard work and stuff, I'll be outside listening to whatever is going on and either with a podcast or I'll be listening to a book.
Okay. And I love it because what I want my audience to glean is this: continuing education. Don't just stop at high school, y'all.
Yeah,
It's lifelong. If you want to break through that glass ceiling, and we talked about the hamster wheel, if you have any interest in getting off that hamster wheel, you got to be a lifelong learner, y'all.
you definitely do. So I've learned even with like cause massage, we have to get recertified every 3 years and get our registration redone. And then with the finance that I'm doing, we have to do that once a year. So you got to continue to get that information in so you know what to do for your clients and how you can best serve them and help them.
Blessings, blessings. What you got for us, man? What's on that
All
Audible
right.
account?
So one I do like that I heard a few years ago is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks.
Okay.
Um, so that goes on basically like, when you get to a certain point and you're like, I don't know what to do next. Or like you know what to do next, but you don't really want to take that step because you're scared about what's gonna come next. That'll give you a little insight on that and how you push through. And then he also has another book called The Genius Zone. So
Mm,
that book focuses on like what is your main thing that you're really good at. So for myself is I think I'm good at adaptability. So like no matter who I got to work with or where I have to work, I don't complain about it. I just, figure out what I have to do and then I go from there with it.
love it. Appreciate it, man. Now you were saying something about podcasts as well.
Yeah, one I used to listen to is Wild Black. I don't know if it's still going on, but it's from a couple guys in Georgia. It talks about they talk about businesses because they have their own production studio that they run their podcast through, and they
Mm,
give you insight on different businesses, and then like just going through life while black. And then
hmm
another one that I used to listen to was the David Banner podcast. Sometimes he'll have good insight on how to like just like with your mindset and how to keep moving forward, even when you're like realizing where you're lacking. And
hmm
then even if you're like, getting too far ahead of yourself, trying to just recenter yourself and pull yourself back in.
Right. So I'm gonna go to in that down that rabbit hole for a minute. So let's talk about the mindset and let's talk about the black and brown experience too. So as we know, often black and brown entrepreneurs, we face some challenges, some closed doors, and some experiences that will often, make it much harder for us to get through that ceiling, to break through. For you, man, what lessons have you learned the hard way that you wish more people understood?
So I learned not to like close yourself off business wise. So I've had clients that run different types of businesses. So I've got people that have non-for-profit businesses, for-profit businesses, LLCs, DBAs. So it's just about continue to look at the structure of your business and how you want your business structure and what's going to work best for you. Don't pigeonhole yourself in that side of it. Make sure you kind of keep an open mind for it because business is constantly progressing. So even if it's like, okay, this business is for profit now. What if I transition to a non-for-profit? How would that affect? How would I be able to get more money? Because a lot of times we look at whatever's put on TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram and say, hey, all right, is that quick and easy to get an LLC? Let me go ahead and do that. But it's like they're not looking at, okay, now is this LLC going to be able to give me the opportunity to get more grant money or to get money to be able to pay employees if I need employees, or if it's going to help me to be able to get equipment. So it's like you just got to kind of make sure you keep that focus on what's going to best serve everybody, so yourself and your customers.
I mean, that is so interesting because I just had heard something, a parallel conversation about the pitfalls of LLCs is, sometimes because we all kind of, go into the game thinking, all right, I got to get an LLC because
Yeah,
that's what we hear on social media. But when you thinking strategic and you're thinking about business funding, what does LLC mean? Limited
it is liability.
liability corporation. Banks don't want to fund liability.
Right,
So I say that to say at some point when you've gone beyond proof of concept and you want to either get at that money, whether it's through a non-for-profit and being able to fundraise there, or really moving from your, and this is where we are right now. We're trying to move from our personal credit and
right.
leverage our business credit. So that's one of the things that we're working on, is making that transition from the LLC to having a C or S corp, because so many more doors open up when you get that business funded.
Yeah, and that's what I learned over the years. Because like I started out with a DVA, and then so I realized like with massage, because it's like I have to have insurance for it, and so that means like I have some type of liability towards my customer. So if something happens to my customer or my client, that's on me. And so that's gonna fall back on me. At least if I have that business covering and I have the insurance, at least I know with that, they're never gonna come at me personally. Now, if it was somewhere where I was selling goods, you wouldn't necessarily need the LLC if unless it's something that people are consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about going through and then just learning that difference between the different businesses and different types and how your business can actually function in any of those spaces and just figuring out how your business can function in those spaces.
So, what insight would you give somebody that might be listening if they're trying to make the decision, when should I get, because we want to minimize overhead, right? Because
Yeah.
minimize overhead, you can maximize, it's revenue is great, but profit is better. Let's be
Yeah.
clear. Um, when do they make the decision to expand the team? Like for you, man, when did you get your accountant? When did you get somebody that could give you advice on the legal side of it? So you know about these structures.
So for the accountant side, I still handle that and all our finances for the business. When it comes to, and then I just talk to different tax professionals about how I can either avoid some of the stuff that are tied to an LLC that I don't really need to pay
Mm-hmm.
because it's just me and my wife, and
Mm-hmm.
then looking at how sorry, I lost my train of thought real quick. Can you ask the question one more time?
No, just when do you, for you, when did, how, what was the we talked about expanding the team,
Oh, yes, expansion.
more
Okay.
overhead.
So you
Clearly,
gotta, yeah, so you gotta really look at what your business is doing. So if you get to a point where you feel like you're spending more than's coming in, or feel like it's getting close to that point, you kind of want to end up having to scale back. To end up increasing, you would have to look at, is this covering my rent for the month? If, do I got double that amount? If you have products and services, I mean, products and back stock that you have to get for you to perform whatever you got to do, you got to have um, that itemized and taken care of, and making sure that you're getting back way more than you're bringing in more than you're putting out before you decide you want to expand and start going to a new location. Like when I
mhm.
did it, I should have waited a little while longer, but it was an opportunity that I felt like I couldn't pass up at the time. So when I
Mhm.
expanded, it did end up working out at first because of the different advertisements I was using. But once I cut those advertisements, it cut my revenue. So you just got to look at what's keeping your revenue afloat and then seeing if you can actually cover that revenue once you do decide to expand, if you have to cut ties with, like, say, one of your advertisers at some point.
Yeah. Tell my audience a little bit about how you advertised and what was working, and equally important, what wasn't effective. So you stopped funding.
So when I started out, I did like Facebook and Instagram. So that works a little bit. I get like a few customers here and there. But the bulk of my customers at one point came from Groupon. And the downside to that is Groupon gets a portion of whatever your clients are spending on their site. And then if they ever discount their the services that you're providing, then they cut on your side. They don't really cut into their side. So it's
Mm.
good starting out for a business, but in the long run, because of how much they're taking, it ends up undercutting you way more.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
plus side to it is you get more people in, you got more eyes on you. The
Hmm.
downside is, like I said, you're getting less money. But when I cut ties with them, that's when I saw how the business was actually running compared to how it was running with their help as well. So it was like 50-50 at the time. And then once I cut that, it's like I saw really how my business was actually going. So I figured out at that point that I shouldn't have went for expansion at the time. I should have stayed with what I had and then figured it out with Groupon being gone before that instead of
Yeah.
waiting until afterwards.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's absolutely a part of the journey. Every misstep gives you more insight into what do I need to optimize our business.
Right,
We have a similar acknowledgement where we know that we get a lot of eyeballs for being on these different short-term rental sites. But we also know that if we can get a direct booking, we don't have to share our percentage with whether it's Airbnb, whoever.
right.
So that's the goal. Hey, we meet, and now we have a new relationship. But what we're going to do is we're going to try to nurture the relationship. So you may have come to me from the advertising, but you're going
Right,
to stay with me because I'm going to try to service you to death. And
right.
you don't need to go that route. But it sounds very similar to your experience with Groupon.
Yeah, that's honestly the when I'm looking at it, the downside to having the Groupon was the fact that um yeah, they cut into it, but it's the way their advertisements work. And then so we were trying to limit how many people purchased like certain Groupons, and then we would try to have our own rates in shop that matched the Groupon rates. But when they kept cutting their costs for the consumer, it caused them
Undermine you.
not to get our packages. Yeah. So they're like, oh, I can just still get it cheaper over here instead of coming back to you at the same price, you know. So it's
Hmm.
like it's you just gotta figure out what advertising service is gonna be the best for you and how you gotta actually understand how they actually function as an advertisement company and then see if that's gonna be the proper one for you.
So for someone looking to use Groupon as a way of getting more eyeballs because they're newer, they don't have the traction yet. Um, what lessons and what should they be looking at as they go down that road?
I would say just don't overwork yourself with it. So for myself, I was offering excuse me, I was offering 3 package deals and like 6 package deals when I first started doing it. So at a certain point when somebody's 3 months in and they're still working on those 6, it feels like you're working for free because you got paid so long ago. So
Mm.
you gotta try to limit how much you're offering to the clients on that type of site, and then only offer like a partial of what you fully offer. So I probably would have benefited more if I advertised for hour-long services on there and then like had half-hour services that I was offering. That
Okay.
probably would help with the with having people coming back instead of having to be like, oh, an hour is standard. You just
Yeah.
gotta have that flexibility and then making sure even though you're getting an advertisement on that side, you gotta grind and make sure you advertise on other sites, on your business site, on your social media. And
Hmm.
that's honestly one thing that I struggle with. I don't post enough and I don't advertise enough, especially like since I've been injured and
Hmm.
like getting myself together and get my personal stuff together. I haven't been advertising much, haven't been doing much, but when you start really advertising and get the eyeballs on you consistently, that's when you can really see that growth on that side as well as the advertiser side and see how much you really are going to need that advertiser in the future versus how much you need them now.
Got it. Got it. Thanks for getting in the weeds, with some of those logistics. So I'm gonna go a little bigger, more
Yeah,
more mindset kind of conversations. But one of my mentors is Byron Allen, and he says that wealth is not about owner is more about ownership and less about participation. And I was like, man, they hit hard. And that was one of my major moves from transitioning out of just being a real estate person that found the vacant houses and then passed them on to someone who had the big dollars.
yeah,
Because I realized there was no equity, there was no real ownership, but I did get in the game. So,
right.
so that was key. So I was learning. So my question for you is this: when it comes to scaling a business, most people really think very small. What's one overlooked strategy that can turn a side hustle into a bona fide business?
So you really, it's honestly mostly about just believing in yourself and then believing in the vision that you got. So that's one thing, yet again, that I struggle with from time to time myself is keeping that constant thought of, this is the vision, this is what I can get to, this is what I can attain. Like I got the degrees, I got the licenses, I got the information. Now, how am I going to use this to turn it into the type of business that I want to turn it into? What am I going to do to really push myself forward? It's like you said, it's a big mindset thing. So like you can have the skill, but if you don't have the mindset to keep pushing and keep grasping at whatever opportunities you see, then you may end up, missing your opportunity. You may end up missing out on something that could possibly change your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Here's what I'm wondering now. I'm wondering. We know that your net worth is your net. It's all about relationships. It's
Yeah.
all about relationships. Um, where are you at right now in that journey in terms of learning the game and leveraging your network?
So uh like I said, like I said earlier, I started working in the financial space. So I've started working on my own personal finance. And that's another misstep that I took in going into business. I didn't have my personal stuff set up right before I started jumping into the business stuff.
Ooh,
So
wait a minute. Say more if you can, because
yeah, so like
a lot of people may be in that same boat.
yeah, so like I had, my mortgage was paid on time, RG&E paid on time, but it would be things like you gotta if you have a higher car insurance payment, or if you have a rental payment that is high, like how all the rent's going up right now, you got to look at if the business doesn't work this month, how am I going to end up covering that extra that I need? So at one point, our rent when we were renting was $800. I knew consistently that I was at least going to make half of that at the shop. So it's
Hmm.
like, where's the other half coming from? When we first started, we had Groupon, the other half was coming from that. So once that half is gone, it's like, okay, now that half has to come from the personal side. So if now everything is all paid, but then now I'm find myself, out of work for a couple of times because of disciplinary reasons for me
Hmm.
showing up late, running late, um or if I made not enough parts in a certain amount of time for they want me to make. So now they discipline you and you're out of work for like a week or two at a time. So now you're like, okay, now I'm short these 2 paychecks, but
Hmm.
I'm paycheck to paycheck. So now I can't do my personal stuff. And
Can't fund
now
the
I'm
dream.
short that 400. So where is this 400 going to come from?
Yeah.
So now at this point, I'm focusing on building up my emergency funds,
Hmm.
making sure I got like a month worth saved to the side. And then after that is brought up to where I needed to, getting something for 6 months worth in the next few years for my emergency funds, and then making sure all my bills are paid up on time and make sure I have a surplus of money um, going into each month. And then
Yeah.
making sure I'm setting myself up for my retirement, making sure all of that stuff is good, secure, and sound before I really start trying to focus on running a business to where I know there's a possibility that I can have expenses that I cannot cover. So
Yeah.
me scaling my business 2 years ago and looking at like I can't really afford to keep this space. So, let me see what I can do at home. Found a space that I could put it in my house. I've done work out of there over the past 2 years, and it's taking away that having to pay that $800. So now the $800, whatever I'm getting from the business is going to go straight back into the business. And then I don't have to go into my personal money to, fund the rest of the business. The downside is that I heard from another business person that I work with and talk to a lot is that I can't get like a lot of grants by working in my home. But
Hmm.
because I do prefer to have my own funds and use my own funds to invest into my business as opposed to loaning and getting loans from banks. That's the best option for me right now is to be within my home and make sure it's something where I'm not got too many expenses going on beyond what I already have. Making sure that I'm, you know, in the black at home so that I can be in the black in my business and not have to worry about having to commingle the two at times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're sharing some stuff that I hope my audience is really kind of gleaming. You really want to have a found. If you build a house on a crappy foundation, don't matter how beautiful it is. The moment you have any change in the season, change in the weather, that house is in peril. Your
Right,
business is no different. So take them, get the foundational stuff taken care of. He talked about reserve funds. That's important. I got to get better at that. Um, we could talk about personal credit as well. Okay.
right,
I'm improving, but I'm not where I want to be. But
right.
the idea is this: um, the vision is important, and taking action, even if it's imperfect action, is what's going to separate you from the masses. But you do want to get your foundation. You want to get your financial house in order. And this is my opinion. Some of us who are visionaries, we don't have those other skill sets.
Yeah,
Budget so that you can bring in somebody that has that skill set because you got to have it.
yeah, definitely gotta have it.
You got to have it. All right. Well, we're getting ready to land the plane. We're not there yet. We're just circling the airport right now.
All
All
right.
right. So speak to me on this. Okay. If you had to begin again, if you had to start over with nothing but your knowledge and your experience, um, what would be the first 3 moves you would make?
So first thing I would do, I would get certified to be able to work with accident patients and do like work with like Medicare, Medicaid. If they offer massages, there are some insurance companies that do pay out for massage. You just got to be really detailed, and that was the one thing that I didn't want to do at the time. But
Mm.
um, after doing school and like really learning more with continuing education, it's like it's smarter to actually just continue doing that because a lot of times when I'm referring to muscles, I'm actually using their actual name and not like a um a common term that most people would use.
Right.
I would
Move two.
okay, I would not jump in so quick trying to do it myself. I would actually have looked at different opportunities to be able to work on my own and possibly even do like mobile services at the start instead of not offering mobile services and not uh and then like keeping myself in one central location. I think that really kind of hurt me in the beginning because I
Hmm.
had a lot of people that were talking to me about people wanting me to come travel to them, but I didn't have a system set up to where myself and my wife felt where it was safe enough for me to be able to just do that and then not have to worry about anything.
Right.
Third thing,
Yeah.
would have made sure my personal finances were straight before I started trying to do this.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that was honestly the biggest hurdle because of all of that, the constant I ain't got it here, so let me get it from here. I ain't got it here again. Let me get it from here. Oh, now I got it here. Now let me, take back what I had already put over here and put it back on this side. It, having to deal with that starting out, it wasn't the best, and it didn't make me feel safe and secure within my business and in my personal life with my finances. So it's like those would be like the main three things because those were the shakiest things for me really
Yeah.
starting out.
Yeah. I knew you had a vision of going in the direction of having mobile services so you could have opportunities for people that couldn't come to you. Where are we at right now in that vision?
So that right now, I had to stop doing that. It's more so a time thing because, like I said, it was more so when I was doing that, myself and my wife would both go out at the same time. But since we got three kids, and then my oldest is in sports now, and
Yeah.
then my youngest is 5, so like he's just really getting into school good,
Yeah.
and well, he's been in school for 2 years, but he's really still getting his schedule right. And then he's about to, move into kindergarten. So his schedule's about to change. And then my daughter has to be to school so early. And then it's a lot of hecticness with our schedule. So it's like doing the travel massage isn't gonna be too beneficial for me right now. Um, and it's really about just trying to really lock down my schedule so I can be able to, do that eventually if I can, find another spot where I can service people where I don't have any stairs. Um, but right now, it's just I have to work with whoever's able to do stairs. And then,
Hmm.
like I said, when I eventually find another place, which I'm looking into eventually, but just not right now, and be able to, have that so that people that can't, like I said, do stairs or have limited mobility, that we able to just come in and not have any issues.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Two more questions, maybe three. We'll see. We'll
Okay.
see. All right. So my first one, my thought is this. Um, Sometimes, the best opportunities are often hidden in plain sight. What's something that most people, especially people of color, overlook when trying to level up?
Ooh, they overlook the uncomfortable things.
Mm,
So for myself, the uncomfortable thing for me is really talking to people. So with massage and with finance, it's a lot of word of mouth, and then it's also you connecting with people and talking to people yourself. So for me, because I'm more of an introvert and I don't really like talking to people when I meet them out and about too much, and I'm not a big question person. it's
mm,
it's 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 I try to avoid that. I try to avoid the hard thing, the thing that doesn't come easy for me. So it's just like really trying to push through that and giving yourself the opportunity to try something that you didn't think you would be able to do. Like I'm not the biggest I don't like my voice. I don't like seeing myself on video. So for me doing Zooms and doing stuff like this isn't the most comfortable, but
yeah,
um, I've also learned the more you do it, the more you get used to doing it. So,
sure.
like I just got moved to a new department in my at my job, and
Mm-hmm.
they changed my hours. So I was doing 6:48 to 3:18. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
from 6 to 2:30. But I've noticed, I'm like, over the past 12 years I've been there, it's like I've been in different departments. So, at a certain point, they put you somewhere, you learn that information, you learn the system, and you learn how you run in the parts. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're able to do that at your job, why can't you transition to that into you building a business or doing something for yourself?
Right.
Why can't you just, look at it and take it step by step, take it
Mm-hmm.
slow. It doesn't always have to be all at once. It's not always gonna go quick. Everybody's journey is not the same. My journey that I see for myself is always just building on one thing, building on the next thing. You're not gonna get that business to where you want to get it to right away if you don't have the correct resources. So you just gotta stay focused, stay diligent, and just keep pushing, and
Got you.
just look at an opportunity that you think you could not do and say, hey, if I could do this over here that I didn't think I could do, this should be the same way. It's just like riding the bike. You get started, you get trained, and then eventually you're just gonna take off and you're gonna go.
Love it. I love it. I love it. All right, here's my final two questions. All right, so what goal or what desire do you have cooking in the crock pot of your soul that you're trying to manifest over the next to 6 to 8 months?
Six
Talk
to
to
eight
my audience.
months.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, so I got two real business goals. So for the massage business, I'm really trying to get that to where um, I'm able to help more people and get to the people that really could benefit from my services the most. Um, I don't fully know what that customer base looks like
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really cut off any customers. I pretty much accept anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just looking at how that how I want that to really look, how I want that to really function in the future. Um, because like I said earlier, I don't want to work in a spa. I'd rather work just like by myself. I'd rather have like just the office and be able to just work out of there and
Mm-hmm.
get my few clients a month
Mm-hmm.
and continue to work with them and get them from a place of pain and discomfort to a place of normalcy, excuse me, or whatever their new normal is with whatever injury or limitation they have.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, with the finance business, trying to just educate more people and help more people save more money and get their wealth together and make sure that they understand, like, even though, I'm the massage guy, I'm with you with the physical fitness and the physical, getting your physical right, but we also
Yeah.
gotta get our
Get your
our
money
money
right.
right. Make
Yes,
sure
sir.
we
I love it.
know how our money's growing, where it's going, and what it's doing, and taking more control of our money.
I love it.
So
I love it. I love it. All right. So here's my final question. And then I want to have you give some shout outs for your social media. My final question is this. Um, as I transition out of the teacher role that I've been doing, I'm still passionate about young people. I'm still passionate about education.
right.
But I'm a stone cold capitalist. So one of the asks I have for you is, would you be willing 1 month to be a part of my mentoring group? So I have a project called the Black Wall Street Project,
Mm,
where I take 18 to 28 years old, and we get together first Saturday out of the month. In fact, as soon as we shift gears here, I'm going over to one of my places because I got about
okay.
12, 13 young people coming over.
Okay.
And we do a book club. We talk about entrepreneur book. I have a guest speaker kind of share their story. I have a gentleman coming up from Buffalo, New York. He's going to talk about crypto and the stock market. And then we play this board game called Cash Flow. My
Okay.
ask is, would you grace us with your presence on one of these Saturdays in the near future?
Yeah, definitely can. Just let me know when you need me, and I got you.
Amen. Love it. Love it. All right, Aaron, share your social media information with my audience. I am going to have everything in the subtitles so they can get to it after the recording, after my people edit everything.
Okay. All right. So my main Facebook account is Aaron Samuel LMT. That's the LMT is for licensed massage therapist. On Instagram, my name is Health and Wealth Samuel. On I do have a TikTok. I don't use it much. But I think that's Relax and Restore LLC. I do have a business page on Facebook as well. That is Relax and Restore LLC. Um, let me see. I do have to put up my link for my Calendly for the massage site, and then also for well, for my massage appointments, and then I have the finance appointments as well on there.
All right. And if you don't mind, share if somebody's trying to get their money right, tell them exactly, you know, what you might be able to do for that consultation.
Okay, so I basically I tailor each appointment to the client's needs. So if you got debt to pay off, we look at how you want to pay off your debt. If you need to save up for the future, for short term and for long term, we look at those different options and the best way that we can do that for you. And then also
Awesome.
with protecting your income and making sure you're set in the future and for your beneficiaries and everything.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, listen, guys, that's a wrap. You know, this gentleman was gracious in giving me this 45 minutes to an hour, and I thank him from the bottom of my spirit. Like always, guys, go out there, live your dream. Don't live small. There is no limits. You know, the only limitation is what you believe your self-worth is. So on that note, be blessed, but more importantly, be a blessing. Good night, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Thanks again, Aaron.